In my work helping professionals become executives, one of the things that we help people do is make some really significant mindset shifts. Today, I want to talk through the top 5 executive mindset shifts that you can make to go from thinking like a professional to thinking like an executive. My name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Vertical Motion, where we help mid-career professionals become executives. If that's interesting to you, you can learn more by clicking the link in the description to watch a video that explains the program that we run. Also, if you are already an executive and trying to move higher in your career, I have a private mastermind as well that might be of interest to you. You can DM me on Instagram or send me a note on our website, vmleader.com, to learn more about that mastermind. But today, what we're talking about are the top 5 executive mindset shifts that you need to make in order to move from the professional level up to the executive level. Number 5 on the list is that executives are not just higher level managers. While it is true that executives do manage employees, they manage the managers in most cases, that's only about 10% of what executives actually do. There are 2 separate roles here when you think about it. People can be both a manager and an executive, but they're 2 separate, entirely different roles. And you may be really great at managing, but you may not know what it takes to actually be an executive. So you have to understand at the very fundamental level that those are 2 different things. So for example, managers tend to look inwards towards a system to make sure it's running well. Executives stand outside of the system, wondering if the system should even exist and how to improve the system or change the system or delete the system entirely. Managers tend to look backwards into the past to see how the performance was in the previous period, looking for trends. Executives are looking forward into the future. They're thinking 3 to 5 years down the road about where is the world going to be? Where is this industry going to be? Where is this company going to be? So executives are very future biased and forward minded. Most of our time thinking is really about what 2027, 2028, 2031 will be like, not what 2023 was like. So that's a big difference between executives and managers. And if you recall the transformation you made from becoming an individual contributor to manager, there was a mindset shift there too, where you went from worrying about yourself to worrying about your team. Managers are very focused on the performance of their team. Executives look more horizontally and laterally in organizations. It's not just their team that they're focused on. They want to understand how their team helps other teams in the organization and how other parts of the organization help their team. So executives are up here at the top looking horizontally or laterally across the organization to see if there's ways to improve the communication between the divisions in the company. So that's number 5, understanding that executives and managers are actually very different things. Number 4 is working hard does not necessarily get you promoted to executive. This is something that's really hard for people to understand. This is a tough mindset shift to make. Think about it this way. You work really hard because that's what you've been told to do. You've been told, get good grades so you can go to a good college. Get good grades at your college so you can get a good job. Get a good job so you can work hard and get promoted. Work hard and get promoted so you can get promoted again. At some point, that all breaks down. And that's probably where you are right now in your career, this mid-career point where you're at manager, director, or very senior level individual contributor. And you're just kind of like, all of a sudden, this isn't working as well as it used to. That's because working hard is not what gets you promoted to executive. Being promoted to executive should not be a reward for how good of a professional you are. That's not how this works. When you think about it, hiring managers are hiring executives for what they can do in the future, not what they did in the past. If you have this mindset that I've been good, I've done well, I got an A, promote me, that's the wrong mindset at this point in the game. That worked earlier in your career. It won't work going forward. Instead, you have to impress upon people that you have the strategy, the vision, the communication skills, the time management skills, all of the executive skills that are needed for you to be successful at the executive level. And those skills are different than your professional skills. Those skills are different than what you have focused on for the first 10, 15 years of your career. So understand that you can work yourself into the ground and you'll get a steak dinner and a plaque. You're not going to get a promotion from that. So working hard is not going to get you promoted to the executive level. Number 3 is understanding that MBAs and professional certifications are not the solution that you think they are. MBAs and professional certifications, let's talk about them separately. First of all, let's talk about MBAs. What is an MBA? An MBA is a master's in business administration, usually from a college and an accredited college at that. So like I have an MBA from Georgia State University. A friend of mine has an MBA from Dartmouth. Another one has one from Naval Postgraduate School. MBAs are that. They are the Masters of Business Administration. You learn the basics of business. You learn how to look at financial reports. You think about strategy, law, ethics, operations, statistics, marketing. All of the facets of a business are kind of explained in an MBA. You can learn learn everything that you can learn in an MBA online. You can go to YouTube and just find another channel besides mine that teaches you everything that you would learn in an MBA. That information is out there. The value that some MBAs have more so than others is the network that you plug into. So if you go to Harvard and spend $200,000 and get an MBA over 2 years, you will have an amazing network attached to you so that other Harvard MBAs will want to hire you in their program because Harvard MBAs stick together. And that's a pretty prestigious thing. Short of that, and there's a short list of colleges below which that network isn't as powerful as you might think it is, there are also other ways to build your network beyond just going through a 2-year, $100,000 plus program. So if an MBA is all about learning the basics of business administration and or connecting into a alumni network, well, it certainly doesn't hurt your opportunities in terms of becoming an executive, but it doesn't really help either. Most people I work with do not have an MBA, and they are moving to the executive level just fine. An MBA is something that can be helpful. If you don't understand the basics of business, you definitely should get an MBA. But if you understand business and you think strategically and critically, you're already past the point of needing an MBA. And there are better ways to build your network that take less time, cost less money, and won't create as much stress for you in your personal life. Now let's talk about professional certifications. This is something else that I hear people say, well, they didn't promote me to VP of programs because I don't have a PMP certification or a program management professional certification. Indicates your professional ability, not your executive ability. Really important distinction here. Understand that you can't really get certifications that say you are an executive unless you actually have a former title as an executive. But truthfully, all of these certifications that you get, like, technical certifications or SHRM or PMP or CMP or CCIE, all those certifications do is demonstrate your ability to do your professional work. And if you're not careful, if you get too many of these certifications, you may actually become unpromotable. You may be so good at what you do at the professional level that there's no incentive to promote you to a higher level. That companies will see you're overqualified for an executive role, but you're perfectly qualified for this professional role because you can replace 3 people with just your output. That's a tough place to be. So if you overload on professional certifications, you run the risk of actually becoming less promotable. So the MBA and these professional certifications are not the solution that you think they are. That's not the missing ingredient for your next step in your career. So let's talk about what is. Number 2 on this list is it's about their future, not your past. A lot of us are thinking about, like, I have built this resume. Look at my resume. I've done these things. I've accomplished these things. I've become great at this. And you have in your mind a clear image of who you are and what you're good at, but what you believe you're good at anyway. You have that image in your mind. And we try to portray that on LinkedIn and our resume and interviews, but that's not what people are hiring for. People are hiring for you in their future, not you in your past. People don't really care about what you did. They care about what you can do for them. So when you go into an interview, you want to make sure that you show up excited to talk about you in their future. Sure, spend 30 seconds to talk about your career achievements and all of the things that you did that were really cool, but get very quickly into the conversation about what you can do in the future. I'm a very strategic-minded person, and I think I could help this company move into this adjacent market, potentially doubling our income. That's a pretty cool thing to talk about. That's more interesting than when I worked for this other company, I moved the needle on this business opportunity and actually closed that deal that helped that company grow. That's interesting, but not as interesting as the impact that you will have on the future of that organization. So number 2 on this list is it's about their future, not your past. And finally, number 1 on the top 5 executive mindset shifts list is the best professionals work with coaches to be the best. And if you think about this, could you imagine a basketball team, an NBA professional basketball team, not having coaches? A head coach, a training coach, a strength coach, a fitness coach, a shooting coach, whatever, like baseball as well. Could you imagine not having hitting coaches at Major League Baseball teams? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Pitching coaches, it doesn't make sense to not have coaches for people who are at the highest levels of their skill and their craft. Everyone who works at the highest levels of whatever it is that they do work with coaches. Athletes do this, professionals do this. It makes sense because in order to be our best, we need to constantly be growing. And how can we be growing if we think we know everything? Having somebody beside you on your team, in your corner, who's there to remind you of your greatness and show you the guardrails so that you don't veer off in the wrong direction in your career, super helpful. And I have really leaned into this concept, not just because I'm a coach, but I have now several coaches myself. I didn't earlier in my career, and I regret that now. Now that I've learned the value of working with coaches, I am so much better at what I do than I was when I didn't have a coach helping me do the things that I do now. It's really impressive to see how coaches can really move the needle on your growth as an individual. So if you want to get really good at something, like for example, you want to invest in yourself in order to grow your career so that you can double your income, double your salary, live in the area of the country you want to live, have the house that you want to have those things, you want to have that way of life that you're looking for, why not invest in that? You can invest in an MBA, but as I've said, that's going to be way more expensive than working with an executive career coach than it would be to just work with a coach and get all the things that you actually need in terms of helping you move forward in your executive career. So that's my top 5 executive mindset shifts list. I hope this was helpful to you. I really find that it's valuable to help the people who come into our Executive Career Accelerator program make these mindset shifts quickly. And so I'm sharing them with you, hoping that you can make these mindset shifts as well and have success in your career. Again, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.